Right, so I've just had to, before I sew the sleeve in, I need to overlock the side seams, and you'll see I've overlocked it just from the underarm and followed that shaping out like we did on the other side, and the same with the front. So followed that line out and just went up as far as the underarm here. So now this is a set-in sleeve. On the other side we did it, we sewed it in flat. On this side we're going to set it in, which means that we need the armhole done before we start sewing the sleeve in. So you can see on this side we've got the notches there, so we need to match those up. Those are the notches that indicate the top of the split. We'll pop that under there.
Oh, this is the 2 centimetre thing.
So the 2 centimetre thing, yeah. So we're going to line these raw edges up with a 3/4 of an inch or 2 centimetre spot. We're going to...
Oh, make sure, yeah, after the gathering, make sure you change your stitch length back.
Turn
Very
stitch
important.
length back. And
Head for the 1 centimetre mark.
yes, go from 2 centimetres to the 1 centimetre and match our underarm up here. Sometimes it can get a little bit tricky matching up these seams if they've already been overlocked, but
Plus different fabric too, like normally you wouldn't have different fabric.
yes, these are
Just,
actually surprisingly different.
Yeah, we wanted to use the fabric that had a right and a wrong side to help with the construction.
Okay, so our underarm is done. You could press that side seam open if you want to, but I think at this stage it's just as easy to hold it open. And then we've got the right side, so the shirt's still inside out, but we've got the right side of the fabric facing up. Going to get our sleeve.
It's always easier to sew on the inside of a circle when you've got something that's, you know, you've seamed it and it's a circle like this. So
Yeah, exactly. So
have the
this,
right
so all
side
of
on
this
the
fabric
inside.
isn't underneath,
Mm.
getting in the way. So I'm just going to insert my sleeve into this space. Match the underarms here. Just do a little back tack there before we get started. So I've got my single notches to indicate the front there. And just put a pin in there if you need to. So we're not going to worry about the gathering just yet. We're just going to sew this curve. So just, you know, like break it down into steps. Don't try and get everything, you know, so that you just sew it all in one go. Just make it easy on yourself. So when we get to the beginning of the gathering, you can see we've got, where is it? Oh, there. So our shoulder notch here, so there's the yoke and our shoulder notch. Shoulder notch matches up. I put a pin in there before to show the top of the sleeve head. And you can see that the gathering has pulled up more. So I can just loosen that gathering a little bit. So now it's the right length, but it's not very even. So we're just going to have a little play with this. So once that's, you're happy with those gathers there?
Yeah, good.
Then we get to the top, I can pull the pin out, but we're going to just pull those threads out of the way there. So pin at that point, and you can see again the gathers are 2 gathers, so we'll pull it out so that the sections are the same length. some time. Getting that gather pretty even. This is why you sew with the gathers on top as well, so you can actually see what's happening. Because if the gathers were underneath, you really wouldn't know what it was going to end up looking like.
Probably end up with lots of tucks.
Yes.
That's really gathers. Yep, make sure that stays open.
Okay, so we've our sleeves sewn in, so just before we go chopping anything off or...
Yep, have a look.
Let's see, so there's the sleeve head there, the fullness is in. That fullness actually comes all the way down to here. You could potentially change it so that the fullness started where the yoke was. That's another option. At the front I think looks fine. Yeah, even then that could maybe start up a little bit higher. But that would just
Yeah,
be
it's up to you.
a case of of just moving those notches up a little bit higher so that you move where the gathers are.
And that's the sort of thing you decide when you're trialling it and change it on the pattern then for your final garment.
Exactly, which is why you do twirls,
Yeah.
so you have that as an option.
So just removing that visible stitch of gathering, the same as we did for the hem edge.
Alright, so we're going to overlock the armhole now. Because we're going to overlock with the body on top, just pop it under there, but also really keep an eye as you're going around what's happening underneath. Because we've got all of this puff from the sleeve, it will be quite easy for this to sort of come over and for you to overlock into the sleeve head.
You can end up with a very interesting looking sleeve.
Yes, much more than you wanted. So just see what's happening. And so with this too, we've got, this is a set-in sleeve, which means that it's the underarm seam can sit up, so it's much nicer. Well, it's not much nicer, but if you've got a fitted armhole, it's better on the body, as opposed to the other side here, which is where you sew. This is more just like a shirt sleeve insertion, but you can see then because we've opened this up here, when that's on the body, that seam doesn't sit up, it sort of squashes down. So it's just something good to be aware of when you're deciding how your sleeves are going to be sewn.